What's up, everyone? Nolan Worley here with Worley's Gutter Talk. I'm sitting here with the man, the myth, and the legend, Chris Hayes. Chris, how are you?
Doing good, buddy. Doing good. How are you, man?
Thanks for being on here. I've been wanting to get you on here for a while now. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Orb Drillers Pro Shop that you got going on, all the deals that are coming up. Is there anything that you could tell the people about as far as drilling and fixing their equipment?
I mean, like I said, Orb Drillers, we're a full service pro shop. We can take care of everything from your new equipment to fitting, drilling, repairs, you know, game improvement, anything like that. If you're just trying to outfit yourself, new bag, new shoes,
Right.
we got it. They've got it covered. Orb Drillers was started by Brian Fennell, probably I think it was 15 or 20 years ago now, and it's grown into numerous shops over a pretty good portion of the state of Virginia. So he's done a great job in growing the brand over the years. And I've been lucky enough to come down here and work for him.
Yeah, and you know what? I've only been here for a little over a year now, and I've been to Century, I've been to Richmond, Yorktown, and I hear a lot about Orb Drills. If you want your stuff drilled right, your name comes up a lot.
A lot of that, I've been in the pro shop industry itself as a whole now for the better part of on and off for the last 20 years, and at least in some facet for the last 15 or 16, pretty regularly. So I've built up a pretty good reputation as far as, knowing the bowlers here. I've bowled in this area for the last 25 years. So, you get to know people, you get to learn the people. And then, being in the industry for this long, you build up a reputation of following people that just,
Right.
you stand behind what you do and you do good work. People are going to tend to gravitate toward that. There's a ton of great ball drillers in the area. So, you've got to kind of pride yourself on the little attentions and details and things like that, kind of help you stand out.
So how long have you actually been in the pro shop?
I've been in pro shops for about the last 20 years on and off. I've been in bowling for about the last 25 years at some facet or another.
Okay.
I've done everything from, I was a porter when I started out taking out trash because I was too young to do anything. So when I left the industry full time, I was general manager of Center for AMF Bowling. Okay. So when I finally left the industry full time, to chase some other career paths, I still came back in and decided to keep working in the pro shop, because it's getting to see people succeed and get better and grow the sport. That's what it's all about. These people coming in here, they're looking to have, they're spending their hard-earned money and time with, wanting to come have fun with a hobby or being competitive.
Right.
And, you owe it to them to make it, give it your best effort. So you get folks that come in and, you'll never beat the feeling of somebody telling you they shot their first 150, 170, 200, or, their first honor score. And that's really what it's all about, man. That joy there is just that smile that's on their face, kids, adults, whoever.
Yeah.
It's all about that and building that sport back up and growing the sport. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff out there that, kind of go against the sport growing. And so we got to do whatever we can to kind of grow the sport.
So is there anything that your pro shop offers that nobody else does?
Most of the pro shops in the area are going to be, we're on all offer similar things. A lot of what you're going to get here is, the years of experience and the attention to detail. It really, you're not just a number when you walk in the door. We really care about making sure you're happy to come out of this place and you not feel like you just, spent $250 and got ripped off. You want to come out of here feeling like you got what you got everything you paid for, and you've got, you're going to keep getting that support and services, anytime you want, you got questions or anything going to come up. So you always want to make sure you're supporting what you do and going from there.
And I agree with you on that, because I've gotten 3 balls drilled here by a different person on every ball, and all of you have really good attitudes. You guys like to joke around. Tommy's a great guy. Yeah. But yeah, it does make it easy to come back and ask you guys for help. It really does. Are there any deals happening in the future with anything?
Yeah, throughout the year, we'll, time to time, we'll run specials on depending on, close out things, depending on the industry itself, with manufacturers. They may close out bags or shoes, and we'll try to, give a heck of a deal and blow them out for everybody. Okay. We always do our Black Friday stuff as Christmas and stuff comes up and everything like that. All the time, you're going to have your ball bag and shoe deals. So if if you're looking to come in and, outfit yourself or anything like that,
right,
there's always a deal going on there. And then, of course, you've always got your league discounts in military for active duty military and things like that, retired military. So we've always got something going on to, help people out, try to get somebody into it affordably. So
That's cool. All right. What's the craziest thing you've had to deal with in the pro shop?
in the pro shop, the craziest thing I've had to deal with, besides some crazy bowlers and crazy
Yeah.
attitudes,
Yep.
the craziest thing you'll deal with a lot of time are just some of the crazy requests. You get a lot of folks that, the internet, TV, and they read about this idea that someone had, and
Mm-hmm.
it's you got to kind of bring them down and kind of explain to them why it's not exactly going to work like that, and that's where coming and taking the time to explain things comes in, because we'll get some off the wall requests about and ideas. I want it done like this. I saw this will work, and you got to
Yeah.
explain to them, hey, this is why it won't work. So.
Yeah.
There's been definitely some crazy requests over the years that we kind of had to talk off the ledge and bring back.
That's it's got to be somewhat, I don't know, comical.
And sometimes it is, just because people don't think about it. There's a lot of technical things that go into drilling a bowling ball, make
Yeah.
proper fit, proper ball reaction, and some folks just think it's 3 holes and go,
Yeah.
and that's not it at all. So,
No, it's not.
you get that, and so you'll get some of those requests, and you're like, you got to kind of go take the time to explain to them, how the dynamics of bowling work, how fit works, and kind of get them to understand that, that may make sense over here in the real world. It's kind of not the way it works.
Right. Okay, so how long have you been bowling?
I've been bowling since I was 16. I didn't start till late. I got into it as a recreation, as me and my buddies, and then as I started working in bowling, started joining leagues,
Yeah.
and at a point there, I was probably bowling 5 or 6 leagues a week when I was late teens, early 20s. That's pretty much all we did was bowl. If I wasn't working, I was bowling.
That's cool, though.
And so it's been kind of from there to still bowling today. I still bowl a couple nights a week with the family and stuff. So
Do you got
yeah.
a favorite ball?
Favorite ball of all time would probably be the original one that from Ebonite years ago.
Oh, wow.
The original The One. That was probably my favorite. I drilled probably 7 of those things, if not more.
Holy cow.
It was a great ball, man. For some reason it fit everything that I did and wanted to do, and it may have been more the ball than the bowler, but I shot a lot of really big scores with that ball.
That's good. All right, so do you have a favorite bowler?
Probably Tommy Jones.
Tommy Jones?
Yeah.
Tommy Jones is a good bowler. He's solid.
Yeah, he's been around a long time. Back in the early 2000s, he bowled. You see him a lot around the regional tour around here and stuff like that. And he's, really good dude.
Yeah, he's solid. I've seen a few tournaments of his, and he's all business.
Oh yeah, Hall of Famer for sure, man. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Okay, so what's worse, teens texting and driving or drinking and driving?
Yeah, that's a hard one, because I've seen some teens that don't need to be out walking and chewing gum at the same time, and nobody needs to be drinking and driving. So that's kind of a toss up there. That's probably equally as bad.
It is. It's equally as bad. Some people reacted differently. Like Jeremy Fought, he said drinking and driving because at least you're trying to pay attention.
No, I think that one. I think either way you split it there, you're in trouble.
Okay, so what are some of the things that have drastically changed since you were a young bowler?
Just the game in general has changed. In the last, you look at how equipment's changed, how the lane conditions have changed. The equipment has become way more dynamic. The lane conditions have had to try to change to keep up with that.
Yeah.
It used to be the sport rewarded, shot making and accuracy. If you could repeat shots, that's how you were successful.
Yeah.
Now with today's equipment and things like that, that's not at a premium, as opposed to you got to be consistent. You got to be able to do some stuff that it's not as just you've got to hit a dime at 40 feet. Now you can kind of get it to, I can hit a dollar bill down there.
Yeah.
So, it's changed a lot. It's still plenty difficult. You've still got to make shots. You've still got to put it there. But, just with technology and the way it keeps advancing and keeps going on, it's definitely changed the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Okay, so is the Earth flat or round?
Round.
Okay. If the rapture were to happen tomorrow and you were left behind, what's the first thing you would do?
Oh, man, that's a good question. Am I the only one left behind?
No, obviously, so there's 2, and one goes and one stays.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd have to think about that one, man. That's not one I thought I'd get.
I asked Sarah, I was like, wouldn't you go out and buy some or blow some stuff up or steal?
I don't know.
She's like, I think she said something about robbing a bank.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'd have to give her the shock of it all first, but I don't know.
Okay, so we're done with the questions. We're going to go into the pro shop. and take a look at the arsenal that Orb Drills has to offer. And Chris is going to just kind of take us through what's good for high revs, low revs, and that. Okay, so we're back here in Orb Drillers Pro Shop. Sorry, I might have pronounced that wrong.
Nah,
but
it's all good.
Chris, give us kind of a layout of what's going on here. Like, so we got these dull ones, we got these shiny ones. If I was a high rev bowler, what are we looking at?
So that's not necessarily as when it comes down to the type of ball you're looking at. It's going to be what your desired reaction is going to be.
That too.
Your higher rev. There's not really a ball that's going to be better per se for a higher rev player. It's all really going to depend on relating that ball to you and how you roll the ball,
right?
And what reaction you're looking for. You've got some high rev guys that they might need a condition that they're going to need something to get down the lane a little bit further. You're going to start looking towards some of the weaker pieces, the hustles and things like that,
Right.
But it's not saying they're not ever going to not have a need for something like a Rockstar, Hyperdrive, some of those like that Ion Pros and things like that, because you're always going to have a need if you got to blend out a pattern or something like that. So where we spoke earlier about being a full service shop, that's where it comes into actually relating that ball to you and your game.
Okay.
If you're looking for a desired reaction, if you're looking for something to go long and snap, we're not going to put you in a super big, early rolling ball.
Right.
If you're looking for something, to roll early, we're not going to go throw you in something that's really, really shiny and, doesn't want it actually, and it's going to try to get down the lane. So
right.
It's all about adapting that ball to you and what your desired reaction and your game is for. You're not going to want to sit there and try to make an apple and orange. No one's going to be happy when you do that. So
right.
You're going to want to find a ball that makes it, fits that desired reaction you're looking for, and then we kind of tailor that to you and your release and your game.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. So tell me a difference of this Ion and this Ion.
So the Ion Pro is actually this was one of out last year. It is actually a hybrid. It's going to be more of a ball you're going to use that kind of league patterns are great.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to kind of a mix of a solid and a pearl. So it's going to give you kind of and for layman's terms, it gives you the mix of best of both worlds. It's not going to hook real early, but it's also not going to sit there and hook super late. So
right.
You turn to something like an Ion Max that we have that would, like I said, usually they're really big rolling ball, really hoops super early. And then you have the Ion Pro Solid, which is a polished solid. So it's still going to roll a lot like a solid, nice and smooth and sharp and nice and smooth and angular. But that polish is going to help it be clean through the front part of the lane.
Okay.
So it's still going to have that textbook solid reaction where it's big, smooth, and kind of arcing, as opposed to something like a gremlin that's going to be really long and a pearl that's going to be really long and sharp, kind of like a check mark. Kind of
right. So comparison to the Equinox and the Gremlin, what would be a sharper cut?
So the Gremlin is going to probably be just a little bit sharper, just based on just the type of core and everything. The Equinox is built out to be, it's still a pearl, still going to be very, very angular down lane.
Yes.
But as it was built, it's not going to usually flare as much. So super good ball. Both of them great pieces. Very, very similar. So you like I said, I think the Gremlin is going to tend to be a little sharper just based on the numbers.
Uh-huh.
But two very similar balls and similar reacting. So
okay.
Yeah.
What about this Hyperdrive that just dropped out?
So that is going to be Rotor Grip's new ball. That is their answer to their regular RST Hyperdrive Solid right next to it. That is going to be their Pearl version. The Hyperdrive Solid, big, early rolling, smooth, asymmetrical ball. Great ball. I've used mine plenty. Use it to blend out a lot of stuff. It takes a lot of that over under away with that big smooth reaction.
Okay.
This is going to be their big Pearl asymmetrical version. So the big, you need to get down the lane and a lot of a lot of reaction toward the end.
So what's the main seller here? Are any of them like the hot item?
It goes in spurts, man. It really does. Like I said, you're still always going to have your staples like your IQs and your phase twos.
Yep.
Storms, those are two benchmark balls that you can pretty much build any bag around.
That's true.
Same kind of goes with Hammer. They still have the Black Widow line and the Vibe line.
Yep.
Two great lines you can kind of build your reaction along. When it comes to that, you usually have one or two a year that are really, really big sellers. Last year, the Equinox, Hyperdrive was really big toward the end of the year for us. So you're going to see a lot of that. They release a lot of balls throughout the year, but every year you always have a couple that come out, and that's going into fall season now. You'll start seeing those trends take off.
You guys used to have the Crown Vic.
Still do. Right now it's gone. We sold one last week, and
I've been looking at that ball.
Great ball. Like I said, it would complement. It'd be probably a little similar to what you got in your Equinox.
Right now I got these guys.
Okay.
But then I also still sometimes bring out my Ruby. I broke out my Clone.
Okay. Okay, yeah, some older stuff that was still really good stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I said, the Crown Vic, another good ball, comes from the Brunswick brands.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things that you've got Brunswick that carries their lines, Hammer or Storm and Rotor Grip and Global
Yeah.
do theirs. All good stuff. You're going to find something to fit everybody.
Well, you definitely got a really good arsenal. If you guys are looking for, that ball that fits in the bag, come down here, ask Chris, some questions. He'll line you up. Um, and that's about it. That's all I got.
Right on.
Chris, thanks for your
No
time.
problem,
And thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
buddy.